Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Unhinged Christian. How y'all doing this week? What's tea? What's going on? This week's episode, I want to talk about knowing when to get off, knowing when to leave. Last week I was like, oh, struggle bus, we all struggling, da 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 da. And I wasn't trying to put that on everybody. That was just where I was at. This week, babe, is giving very much know when to get off the bus, know when to leave. So I really feel like that's gonna be the core of the episode today is knowing when to let go. And knowing how and when to give things the appropriate amount of chances. Yeah, it's given very much. Give your relationship with God as many chances as you gave that cheating man, that lying man, that trifling woman. Give the gym as many chances as you gave that person. Okay? Coming out the gate with it ain't even 2 minutes in, and I know I'm on somebody's head. I'm on my own head, if we're being honest. I think it's important to know when to let go for many, many different reasons. I believe that it once you compromise yourself, you compromise everything you stand for. And I don't mean that in the sense of never compromise, but understand what it is you're compromising for. And if what you're compromising yourself for doesn't align with where you stand with yourself as a person, and it doesn't align with what God represents, period, there's once you compromise, you're compromised. Like that's it. So make it a point to know this is no longer for me. This was probably never for me, but I had to go through it to understand what God needed me to learn. And a lot of us, you see how I'm including myself? Yeah. A lot of us fail to utilize our discernment or will deliberately ignore the gut feeling that God has given us about a lot of situations because it is serving our flesh temporarily. Serving our flesh temporarily so we are willing to be compromised for the sake of momentary satisfaction or instant gratification. Let me tell you something. All of those things that come with compromising yourself, they keep you on the bus. You're not only compromising you as a person, but you're compromising your self-respect. You're compromising your dignity. You're really compromising your relationship with God. So if you really start to look at things like that, is this worth compromising where I stand with the big man? It'll put a lot more into perspective. It'll make a lot more of your actions intentional. It'll really check you. It'll really check you every single time. And then you'll start to get this, it'll help you grow your discernment and grow your ability to actually use your discernment. And you'll feel like, you know what they be saying, your frontal lobe is fully developed. You're gonna feel like everything gonna start just making sense. Everything's just gonna start like Tetris, just coming together. That's you relying on a gift and ability that God gave you. That's you listening to God's voice because it shows up in our lives in so many different ways, you know? A lot of people think, oh, I get this gut feeling. Like everything could be sounding good and looking good and it still not resonate with you. That's God's voice being like, this ain't for you. This ain't for you. Listen to that voice. Listen to that gut feeling. Listen to those pieces that, oh, everything is coming together. Make sure that all those pieces fit the way that God intended them to. Because a lot of the times we'll look at something as a sign, but it's just justification to do exactly what he told us not to do. Because that's how the enemy works. That's how the devil works. He is going to pose as something that's good. He's going to pose as something that is brought to you by God, but it literally is just satisfying your humanistic side. It's just satisfying your flesh. So whenever you have those moments, because they come in different forms, some people are feelers, some people are very logical, and if the pieces really don't fall where we think they're supposed to, as logical thinkers, then we out of there anyway. But yeah, we I have a quote. I have a quote with my best friend, and it's, we've been dumb before, but we ain't gonna be dumb no more. Okay. And I laugh at that because it's really true, especially in the ways that we've applied it to life. I feel like it's a very, prominent statement to live by, very simplistic. But even in that, I get a revelation because it's like I've allowed things to happen. I've compromised myself. I've allowed my relationship with God to be compromised, and it allows me to hold myself accountable for the things that I have allowed and recognize them so that I don't allow them again. And I feel like that helps me put my trust and my power back into God, because leave it to me, leave it to my little flesh, I'm gonna do what I want. And what I want doesn't always align with what God has for me, because my relationship is still budding. But in order for me to further grow with him, I have to be able to acknowledge where I had him messed up at. Because luckily we serve a merciful and graceful God where he's not going to leave you where you have him mess up. He very well could, but that's not a God that we serve. So when I do say, I've been dumb before, but I ain't going to be dumb no more, that's me knowing when to get off. When are you going to get off the bus? I want to know. The class wants to know. What situation in your life are you able to look at wholeheartedly and be like, you know what? Let me, the little bell they have on the bus to let the bus driver know this your stop, this where you finna get off. When you gonna start ringing that? When are you going to be honest enough with yourself? Because that's really where it begins. Honest enough before God to be like, you know what? I failed you and I failed me right here in this spot. So where I had myself messed up and where I have you messed up, I'm going to get off and I'm going to leave that. I no longer want to be on the struggle bus. So I am able to identify where I'm struggling and also where I've failed and lacked in discipline, in consistency, in accountability, in transparency, in honesty. I'm able to identify those things and then get off. Because getting off is showing God and ourselves that I'm taking wherever he's taking me seriously. Because that's really the gist of it. Are you here to stay or are you here to play? Because if you want to keep being dumb, you stay on the bus. You stay on the bus. Bus going in circles anyway. That's the whole point of a struggle bus. You're just gonna keep going and you're gonna get dizzy until you realize and until you're ready to get off. And it seems like a inhumane thing, like, God, why would you deliberately keep me in this struggle? But it's not him doing that. It's us. It's me. It's you. We're the ones choosing. That's why we say, I've been dumb before, but I ain't gonna be dumb no more. And maybe dumb is not the word everybody wants to use. So you take dumb out, replace it with whatever is fitting for your life. I've been compromised before, but I ain't gonna be compromised no more. I've been let down before, but I ain't gonna be let down no more. When you start to take yourself serious, you're able to take everything in your life serious. And it is single-handedly correlated with how things approach you in life, how things find you in life. If you don't take yourself serious, and I'll make it about me, if I don't take myself serious and I don't take my relationship with God serious, why would I expect anything that is of any sustenance to find me and take me serious? Why would I expect a job to take me serious? Why would I expect a landlord or a car dealership or anything else for that matter? Why would I expect anything or anyone to take me serious when it is evident and apparent that I don't take myself serious? I don't take my own well-being serious. I don't take life serious. And not to say that every moment in life has to be serious, but there are things that require discipline and require consistency. And if I'm not exuding that, then it will never find me. The two will not, they will cease to exist. They will cease to exist. And I will, as a result of that, remain on a struggle bus. So it's all about knowing when to get off, when to pack it up, when to be like, hey, Pookie, ding, 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 ding. This is my stop. Let me off. And I fear that a lot of us, with knowing when to get off, a lot of us are scared of what's at the stop. A lot of us are scared for what's waiting on us when we get off of the bus. A lot of us don't want to face the reality of our decisions, that we don't want to face the consequences. We don't want to even have the time acknowledge that we've shorted ourselves in some way. A lot of people are more comfortable with the chaos that they're able to create as opposed to dealing with the consequences that they have no control over. So a lot of people will struggle willingly, and that's their journey, that's their walk. They have to get tired of being on the struggle bus themselves. I myself am a healer or a saver, maybe. I'm very empathetic. So when I see someone struggling, especially when it's something I've struggled with, what I've had to learn is that it's their turn. It's your turn. As much as I think I may know, as much as I would like to help, this your season to be on the struggle bus. And not to say that I'm watching people struggling, I'm not offering any help. I will offer my help. I will offer what I think is expertise, but it's your season. And the only way you're going to value what is on the other side of getting off and knowing when to leave is if you choose to do it yourself. There's nobody in this world, there's nobody around you who is like, hey, this is what's going to happen when you get off. Life is going to get better. Life is, you know what I'm saying? Nobody can convince you of that except for you. And I only am trusting in that when I have a thorough understanding of where God is taking me, a thorough belief, an unwavering faith of where He has me going. Even in my season of struggle, I still find time and make ways to give God thanks and praise for what I have presently, because I don't want to minimize what He's doing for me in the present, because there was a time where I was praying to be where I am right now. It may not be in the exact fashion or the exact order or nature of how I wanted it, but just showing appreciation, even if I'm not getting anything I wanted. I'm just appreciative of being alive, of having breath in my lungs, of having good health and a roof over my head. Like, being present in the moment that God has you in is forever going to set the tone of where He's going to take you. So if you can't, if we, because we in this together, if we can't acknowledge when it's time for us to go, and acknowledge where He has us once we get off, and be appreciative of it, and learn how to serve within that, and learn how to sacrifice within that, because sacrifice and compromise, two different things. Two different things. If we can't learn how to sacrifice a version of ourselves to become what it is He has for us, we gon' the struggle bus. That's all I can relate it back to, the struggle bus. You'll never know when to get off. You'll never know when to get off because you've rationalized why you've been on there for so long. You'll never, let me say that a little bit clearer. You'll never know when to leave because it is easier for you to rationalize why you've been there for so long than it is for you to accept whatever is on the other side of getting off. Whatever is waiting on you once you get off. And a lot of that, half of the time, a lot of what is waiting for us is the blessing that we've prayed for, it's the job that we prayed for, it's everything that we've ever asked for, ever dreamed of, and more. But because a lot of us don't know when to let go, when to get off, it becomes, hey, I'm never gonna have these things. And it becomes very self-destructive. It becomes very self-centered. We tend to get consumed by the things that we're going through, so much so that it becomes borderline impossible for us to acknowledge God and appreciate what He has done for us. Which I feel like is also a result of not knowing when to let go. Like Bookie Bear baby butt. Sometimes you got to go. Actually, not even sometimes. Let this be a word. Every time you let go of something, you never look back. What are you looking back for? God left it back there for a reason. He put it back there for a reason. You went through it, the chapter closed. It's like you rereading the same chapter looking for a different ending, looking for a different plot or a different storyline. Let God close that chapter. Let God take those people out of your life. Let God remove you from that job. Let God remove laziness and procrastination from your spirit. Stop reaching back to figure out why. Please. Or He gonna make an example of you like He did that man's wife. And y'all know who I'm talking about. A pillar of salt. Because you're not trusting God. And that is a slap in the face, Bookie, because this man is doing everything in his power to bring you home to Him, to bring you closer to Him. And while doing that, in that process of bringing you home to Him, He's wanting you to accomplish your goals, wanting you to dream bigger than you ever have so he can bless you bigger than you can ever imagine. But if you don't make the space, if you're not willing to fail in in the name of Jesus. If you're not willing to fail for the sake of growing with God and understanding His mission, goal, vision, and will over your life, you're going to always be on the bus in some way, shape, or form. You may convince yourself you've gotten off. Baby, all you did was get off one bus and get on another. You're going to be riding a bus in circles with no destination because that's not where you're supposed to be. That's a season that you were in. That's not where you're supposed to be forever. Sometimes it is necessary for us to be on the struggle bus. Sometimes you have to be so low and so without and so just befuddled with life that you have no choice but to lean on God. So you're like, you know what, let me get off and just see. Let me get off and just, I don't even know what's on the other side, but your fear, your fear cannot be bigger than your faith. It simply cannot. It simply cannot. And sometimes it's okay that you may be in a position or in a season where your fear is bigger than your faith, but your fear have you get off anyway. Your fear have you get off and it forces you to lean into your faith. Your fear, you get off with fear and it turns immediately into faith without you even knowing it. As soon as you've made that decision to get off and trust God, that's faith. That's no longer fear. That's been transformed for you to use in a way that even you can't recognize yet. But you've made that step just by getting off and not looking back. The not looking back. Stop going. You trying to go open doors that God has already closed and locked, deadbolted, Fort Knox. And you at the door struggling, twisting the knob, trying to kick the door in for what? You've learned everything you were supposed to learn in that season. And if you haven't, the beautiful thing about God is He'll present you with another door that looks just a little different from the last one with the same prize behind it. God's going to keep producing and reproducing the lesson until it's learned. So instead of putting all of your effort and time into trying to go backwards, even looking forward, God has already recognized you haven't learned that. You may have gotten off that struggle bus, but there's still an aspect of that struggle that you have with you. So we're going to put you behind door number 2. Okay, open that for me. Let me give you this lesson a little bit differently in a way that it resonates. So if you find yourself stuck in a cycle and you're the common denominator, let's look at what you're doing to change you, not change the environment or the people around you. What are you doing to change your role in what is happening to you? A lot of us on that struggle bus, struggling to get off, or a lot of us trying to get back on the bus, we tend to make it everybody else's fault. Like, oh, that's the reason why I do this, and that's why I'm like that. And, my granny died when I was 6, and how I can't ever be a good person. Like, come on, gang. You want good in your life, you have to make room for it. You have to make room for God. You have to make room for opportunity. You have to be willing to fail. But failure is a good sign. I think that needs to be talked about. That was my download just now. So yes, know when to get off. Know when to get off. Trust God in getting off. Trust God in the season of uncertainty that comes with getting off. Just trust Him blindly. Blindly. If you're going to trust anybody, let it be God. If you're going to trust anybody blindly, let it be God. And let God navigate your steps. Let Him show you what is for you, what isn't for you. Work on your relationship with Him so that you can hear His voice, so you can adhere to, the blessings that He has over your life. Okay. Now let's let's two-step into this next topic because I don't have that much time. Okay. Because you have 30 minutes. 30. I have more like 5, so here we go. um, Failure is a sign that you're trying. And I think people have glamorized getting everything right the first time, that fear of failure is rampant. You're so worried about making sure you hit every mark the first time that failure feels like the end of the world, and it's not. If you're not failing, you're not learning. You're going to fail more than you're going to succeed because you need to learn and you need to keep learning. So repurpose that failure. Repurpose how you utilize that energy. Like, okay, I've fallen. Use that momentum to fall that you've fallen with. Like, it takes gravity and energy to pull you down. You're gonna need something to propel you back up. Bounce your behind off the ground. Like, be a basketball. The ball just don't bounce once and be like, that's it. No, you're going to fall. You're going to fail because you need to learn. And you also need to understand that with failing, you're missing something from God. So you need to reach out, reach in His bag, reach out to Him, reach into His word. Call up the main line, hold up the main line if you need to. You know what I'm saying? But failure is a sign of trying. Failure is not a sign of trying. Let me take that back. Failure is a sign of doing. Doing is an action. You're getting up and you're doing this. I'm doing that. Trying is just the absence of doing. Trying is the absence of action. Trying is the absence of everything you needed to be to go where it is you want to go. So I don't like to say, I'm trying. No, I'm doing. We're doing. Everybody's doing. You have to think you're actively doing something all the time. Now, whether it's in a productive manner, if it's contributing positively or negatively, that's between you and God. That's not my business, not my tea. But that is a point that I want everybody to take from this episode too. Trying is the absence of action. So get up and do it. Get up and know when to leave. Don't try to leave, just leave. Don't, I'm trying to understand. No, just leave. Nothing that is meant for you is going to confuse you. It's going to stress you out. That is all that resistance is God. It's like He trying to tell you, hey, get your tail up. Get your tail up and get on up out of here. This ain't for you. This not where you're supposed to be. Listen to that. Lean into that. And God got the rest. He literally has the rest. A pinky swear. But yeah, let me pray us out so we can go. God, thank you for bringing me here today. Thank you for giving me this download and giving me the responsibility to speak my truth and align it with your word and put this message out to people, to everyone listening, not listening. Please cover everyone with love, faith, mercy, and just guide us through these times. They may be uncertain, but the only thing that is certain is you, God. So I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Let this be a message that resonates with someone and ignites a fire in them to lean into you, your word, your love, and your purpose and will over their life and all of our lives. In your name I pray. Amen. So I'll see y'all next week, okay? Be good, be safe, be blessed. Stay black. Stay whatever you are. Okay? Don't cancel me. But yeah, trying is the absence of action. And Buki, we've been done before. Say it with me. But we ain't gonna be dumb no more. Okay? We ain't gonna be dumb no more. All right. Love y'all. Bye.